Hello there, so let's be honest, you suck at mapping. Maybe you've opened the editor, maybe you've placed some objects, and maybe you've taken some advice from these videos, but overall, you're still no better than most people out there. I get it, it's not easy to learn about mapping on your own. Videos can't teach you everything, and that's part of why mappers ask other mappers for feedback, different perspectives on what makes a map good. Giving feedback is time consuming though, and it's nearly impossible for a newer mapper to find an experienced mapper for help. Nearly. I say nearly because there is a way for aspiring mappers to receive beneficial feedback from skilled mappers. The Community Mentorship Program. This first launched in 2013, a bit before I paid attention to the mapping scene. From what I can observe, it was a way for new mappers to learn through a helping hand from competent mappers and modders. I never saw anything actually come out of this though, which is probably why I never heard about it again until 2015. With a new leader, the program was relaunched under the same sort of principle. Competent mappers were given the opportunity to sign up as mentors, whose job was to guide inexperienced pupils towards map improvement. The announcement for it this time around also laid out some ground rules regarding the system, such as its 3-month cycle and a cumulative project for pupils at its end. After 2 months of organizing members for both groups, the first cycle began. 12 mentors signed up, and each of them chose a pupil from the extensive list of new mappers who showed an interest in being part of the program. And then, nothing happened. The end of the cycle came around and there was no sign of activity in the mentorship program. At some point, the announcement was archived without any form of follow-up on the 12 mentors and their pupils. Over a year later though, the program was reopened under new management. It essentially took the same foundation, a 3-month cycle with mentor-pupil pairings. 24 mentors signed up this time, along with even more mentees who were interested in learning through the program. At the time, I didn't think too much of it. Cool, the mentorship program was back, but my expectations for its success were low given how the 2015 run turned out. I didn't participate, and so I put it at the back of my mind, expecting to never see it again after the cycle began. However, it actually did end. According to one of the program's new leaders, mentors successfully helped their mentees, and the next cycle was planned to start in the next few weeks. And it did, with 32 mentors this time and all of their mentees. Seemed pretty cool to me. I don't really know what was going on behind the scenes since I didn't participate in either cycle, but I was glad to see it was working. Conceptually, it seemed like a really good way to educate new mappers, and clearly it showed some results this time around. It wasn't until I found this thread that I actually became curious though. During the first new cycle were some discussions about mapping concepts. For example, these 3 mentors here organized a discussion about rhythm. But what did that even mean? Like, from what I see on the post, it's a guide about rhythm, but I don't know how it was organized, or how it was a discussion, or who participated in that discussion, and so on. The 2013 and 2015 cycles were mysterious because they never formally ended, but this one was mysterious because so much happened behind closed doors. As someone who considers themselves active in the mapping community, it's kinda weird to see stuff go on that I didn't even know was happening. So, I decided to do a little research. I pulled some strings and got myself into a Discord server where the mentoring was hosted. And there, I learned what the deal was with this community mentorship program. Really, I always thought the program was just a way for good mappers to help out new mappers in a more organized way. No, not even that, just an incentive to do it. And maybe that's how the original program was designed. This was definitely not that simple. Within this server is a group called Helpers, who were likely one of the reasons why this program actually succeeded this time. They keep track of each mentor and pupil's activity, making sure that nobody slacks off too much or ignores the program entirely. That's all I thought would be necessary, but helpers, along with organizers, do much more than that. For example, they organized 2 speed mapping contests that took place during the cycle I observed. Interested pupils were tasked with making a difficulty for a certain song within a time limit, and those were judged by a combination of mentors, staff, and helpers. When the contest results were published, mentees could see judge ratings for each submission. These not only helped participants figure out what they did right and wrong in their own maps, but also allowed comparison between the good and bad of all other maps. Scores varied hugely between submissions, and this meant everyone involved had a chance to see what competent mappers considered high or low quality relative to their own creations. There were also 4 discussions this cycle, which are essentially interactive versions of what I showed earlier in a forum post. One or more mentors talks about a certain mapping concept, while anyone interested at the time can learn and ask questions about the topic. Usually they're handled through text, but there's been physically spoken discussions too. These are essentially hour-long lectures by competent mappers. Perspectives like this are a pretty useful tool for someone new to mapping, or at least I'd think so. Completely unrelated to that, there's groups of pupils working together to create collaborative maps and map sets as a more interesting way of getting involved. Each member can easily learn from one another when mapping the same song like this, so just more different perspectives, and that's a good thing. And, of course, there's mentors guiding their pupils personally. That's what I thought would be the only important part of the community mentorship program, but after my observation this cycle, I'm thinking that might not actually be true. A pupil learning from their individual mentor is important, and it lays down a foundation for what maps they can make. But the mentorship program is more than just that. By being given so many social opportunities related to mapping, pupils can learn in ways that wouldn't be possible with just one-on-one tutoring. Different perspectives can easily change a mapper's outlook on maps, especially when they're perspectives that a mapper hasn't even considered before. With so many different people who cross paths here, mappers are bound to learn tons of ideas behind maps. More ideas than one mentor or some videos could easily teach. More importantly though, a mapper can never succeed if they reject or ignore all outside perspectives. Nobody wants to mod maps from someone who's a stubborn dick, and much less nominate them. Socializing is an important part of learning to map in more ways than one, and so alongside learning the basics of mapping, the values of different perspectives are emphasized in the community mentorship program. So, you might be wondering, why am I talking about the mentorship program anyway? Starting today actually, pupil applications for the 3rd cycle are beginning. If you're interested in joining the program as a new mentee, you can check out the announcement thread and fill out the required form. And yeah, that's about it. The mentorship program can improve one's mapping in ways my videos could never do. Thanks to these guys for supporting this video, and special thanks to Okarin and everyone else in the mentorship program who made this video possible. I'll see you next week.